All right, let's talk about Crimson Desert. This has been a crazy one. If you missed it, I did the before you buy on Game Ranks yesterday. I dropped kind of like the longer, more thought out thoughts. Here, I just kind of want to riff, go on a little unscripted ramble about the game because there is so much to it. It's hard to cram it all in one video, but it is a fascinating game. And I honestly think that's what really took people by surprise with this one when it was first revealed, is that it just had something to it. It had some look that people really latched onto. I mean, you could tell, just look at the response to reviews, look at the communities on Reddit and forums. Like, Crimson Desert was poised to be a big thing. And now with reviews dropping, long story short, my review is I think the game is very good. I'm not gonna like pander to that like big hype fandom. I'm not gonna say it's like the greatest game ever made or anything like that, but I think if it clicks with you specifically, and there are a lot of caveats, if it clicks with you specifically, you're really gonna dig it. Or you're gonna immediately nope right out with it. Basically, really fun gameplay, rewarding exploration, a world and stuff that feels like a technical marvel, but a story and like presentation that is just like bullshit, not a very good story at all, except for a few moments here and there, and just a lot of questionable decisions along the way that are small things that add up to more frustration. Little control scheme things, little glitches and bugs, how you pick items up, how inventory space works early on, just how some of the puzzles are poorly designed and thought out. Difficulty spikes, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but again, it might frustrate some people. Not only that, the biggest thing, and I said this in the Game Ranks before you buy, and I posted it on Twitter, and a lot of people flipped out when they heard that. I said, for me personally, I can only speak to my experience, but like, I didn't enjoy the first like 8-ish hours of the game. It's rough at first. The tutorial is not good. It's also really drawn out. The whole intro is not very exciting. It all feels really phoned in, disjointed. It almost feels like there were like some concepts or some story stuff cut, and just how it onboards you is not very good. But once you get further into the game, once you get past a lot of the tutorialization, and once you start to like unlock some cool abilities and figure out your playstyle and get a grip with the combat, then it's a lot of fun. And then you really just get to go hog wild in this weird, goofy world. But that like 8 hours thing, like, and it's going to be different for every person, right? It took like 8 hours or so for me to really click with it. It might take some people no time. It might take people 6 hours, 7 hours. That's a turnoff to a lot of people. Some people want to be immediately engaged by a game, but there's always some games that, you know, you have to stick with for a little while for various reasons, right? Whether it's a JRPG, which many of them have a really, really long intro chunk that sucks. JRPG fans know what I'm talking about. The first 10 hours of a game, the first sometimes 20 hours of a JRPG cannot be as good as like the second half or the rest of the game. Even games like Elden Ring, right? You might hate it at first because you just can't understand or get to grips with a Souls-like game, or something completely different like a Kingdom Come Deliverance, where that's a long uphill kind of climb where you intentionally start off as this suck-ass weak character, and then once you finally start to get powerful, that's when the game feels good. With Crimson Desert, it's a mix of all of it, I would say. So that's really the one big thing. I think that stands in the way. Some people like, hey, life is short. If a game doesn't, you know, lock you in within the first like 5 or so to 10 hours, like, you know, then you know, move on. A lot of people say like, if a game doesn't connect with me right away, it's a bad game. Look, maybe it's like I have the patience or some like weird hyper obsessive fixation or something like that, but I know I'm not the only person. I'm like, you know, with a job and stuff, like I know I'm not the only person that is willing to sometimes stick with games and see it through. So with this, I definitely recommend, like, don't just listen to my opinion. Don't just listen to ACG or Skill Up or something. I think it's important to take a mix of opinions to really know what you're getting into, because I strongly believe, and it's an overused phrase, but like, I don't think this game is for everybody. But with all that out of the way, like, what I love about this game is, yes, a lot of the world and how it rewards exploration. Visually, it looks absolutely insane. And now with that, I want to caveat, I've only played the PC version. I put tons and tons of time into the PC version. So technical wise, I don't know how it's going to be on console yet at the time of recording this video. Game Ranks, we have prioritized. We're going to make a whole separate video about console footage when we get our hands on it. But technical aside, I can say that, like, I think the game is good content-wise, right? But from a technical standpoint, like, yes, the visuals and the world and the moving parts and the way it looks and the incredible draw distance and the color palette and the details, it does feel like this big leap. It does feel like, wow, I'm playing this like next gen feeling thing. From the way the weather affects things, to the way the lighting works, to the way the trees sway in the breeze, all that stuff. That stuff is great, but don't necessarily expect to like fall in love with NPCs or really get invested in that world in that way. Where you get invested in the world is, you know, looking for power. The game, after a while, introduces you to that power fantasy of you being a badass in combat and traversal, and you kind of just get hungry for more of that. And that, for me, was really what kept me playing. The game has a really good skill tree. For like an action RPG or like a big game like this, probably one of the cooler skill trees I've seen in a minute. Just in terms of like the abilities it gives you, how it all kind of is paced, how you're able to just pick and choose stuff. You don't have to like really necessarily mess too much time like picking boring stuff to get to good stuff. It's kind of freeform, and that's great. So once you start getting a lot more abilities, a lot more power, a lot more endurance and health, that's when it can really feel good. And combat, as much as like I despise the camera in this game, there are options to like change the camera, like tweak the camera a little bit, but like I still just think it has a mind of its own. It's unwieldy. It doesn't always show the action properly. That aside, the combat's great. Is it this extremely fine-tuned, honed thing with a millisecond perfect parries and dodge windows and all that stuff? No, it's not tight like that. It's more just a good brawler slashy beat 'em up with over-the-top superpowers. You have a heavy attack, you have a light attack, you have a dodge, you have a block parry, but then you can build off of that so much with special abilities, magical abilities, and how you can kind of combo and stack those just makes it a lot of fun. Not to mention, there's good pops of blood. The strike of a sword feels good with feedback if you're playing on a controller. There's a good amount of environmental destructibility as well. So when you start to get, like, you know, you start to figure out grappling and you can pick up an enemy and toss him into another guy. Or my favorite is when you unlock a freaking choke slam. You can like RKO a dude. When you start doing that through like, you know, a brick wall or like barrels and crates, and you're just smashing dudes and throwing dudes into other dudes, it's a lot of fun. The game serves as that. It serves as this playground for futzing around. It gives you some compelling enemies to fight, some cool shit, some boss battles that are very challenging. Some feel almost cheese or like bullshit challenging, but still I think there's a good amount of like give take with it. Like I just dig it. And the skill tree, coupled with also like the loot and economy being pretty good, it really, you know, incentivized me to want to earn money, to consider stealing, to take on more side contracts like the bounty contracts, to sell what I don't have because the economy is so tight. It really made me push. Plus, the stuff I wanted to buy is good. There's a lot of it, right? You have all different pieces to your armor and outfit, weapons, upgrading those weapons at the smithy, but also getting stuff for your horse as well. Like your horse has all individual pieces that can make it better. You can dye your dude's costume. Like there's a lot to it, and I wanted it all. It didn't feel meaningless to me, and I think it's especially important because the game doesn't just throw constant colored loot at you every time you kill an enemy. Yeah, like you can kill an enemy and pick up their sword, but you know, it sucks. You could sell it for like $1 or whatever and move on, but like the good stuff is worth hunting for and finding. So for me, it just kind of felt like it had that loop figured out. And so that stuff, like the exploration, the hunting for stuff, the killing dudes, that's been strong enough to keep me playing because the story doesn't really do it. There's not a lot to it. It feels disjointed and weird. Cliff as a character, there's not much to him. And for me, with these games, sometimes it's like it goes back and forth. Like you can argue Skyrim. People have played hundreds of hours of Skyrim where the story isn't always super gripping. You know, I beg to differ. Maybe it's because like I care about Elder Scrolls lore, but then like, you know, you also have things like The Witcher 3 on the other side where like I put so much time into The Witcher 3 because I was interested in the world and the lore, but also I really loved Geralt. I just really liked the guy I was playing as. With Cliff, you don't get that. And I really wish they stuck to like a character creator type thing. like with their previous game. Pearl Abyss's previous game was Black Desert Online, an MMO that had a really good character creator from what I recall. I wish that was here because, you're just a guy. You're kind of just a vessel. And the game does feel like it's this big blown out giant MMO thing you do just solo. It is a solo single player game, and it's an ambitious one at that because of the amount of systems that are crammed in here. The fact that you can cut down trees, you can mine, you can decorate a house, you can play as multiple characters and swap through them like GTA style. You can ride horses, ride carriages. You can like essentially control robots, ride a dragon. You can climb Breath of the Wild style. You also have an Ultra Hand ability, Breath of the Wild. Like the amount of things this game throws on you and how it sometimes fumbles control wise with that. Like the controls sometimes like fucking they like the pickup item button is the same button as the jump button, which is awful. Like those little things aside, but like stacking all those things on top of each other is incredibly ambitious. And I've experienced other games that do this type of thing, right? That throw the kitchen sink at you, say like a Where Winds Meet or something like that, where you can do literally anything, right? Here with Crimson Desert, it just feels so much less cynical. It feels less, hey, we're throwing everything in here to keep you playing, to overwhelm you, to blah, blah, blah you. Here, it just feels like the developers were really passionate and really excited about all the things that they put in the game. And they're not half-assed. Like most of the mini games, most of the, sub mechanics and things you do all feel pretty good. And like they're nice to do. It's not phoned in. So that, coupled with the ambition overall, it's just such an interesting game to experience. And that's the thing for me. It is an experience. Is it a life-changing experience? For me, no. But is it fun? That's the most important thing. When I could tell early on, like from the trailers and stuff, that the story wasn't really going to be much and it was just going to be gameplay, I was looking for the fun factor. And I went into the game looking for that. And it took me a while because I hated those first opening hours. But once that fun factor clicked, I was on board. I hope I didn't bury the lead with that part too much. I feel like that part is probably like my best like blanket statement of the game. Some people probably already watched the beginning of the video and got mad and clicked off, but hey, thank you if you're still here listening to me. Yeah, I have been playing Crimson Desert as a fascination, as a hyperfixation, as a curiosity, more than I can't wait to see what happens next in the story or necessarily I want to level up. It's just because it's just such a weird thing. Maybe it's because like you don't see the Korean approach to game design too much in terms of like giant AAA things like this, but just the design philosophies and how it all goes down. It's just been really an interesting game so far. I'm at the point with my character that like I really feel like a badass. I love literally flying around this world. I like swapping to different characters to just get a little bit of a different combat feel, even if it feels like they're kind of underutilized, right? But like I love flying around as my badass Cliff. I love blowing shit up. I like finding weird things. I like that the game map is so big that I'm always excited to see like what's over that next mountain, because it's going to be something completely weird. A cave with a shitty puzzle that I hate, or a really great sword, or maybe a new town, or an entire city, or like a weird bug war place, or a factory with kind of like steampunk stuff. There's a lot going on with this game, and sometimes it feels kind of all incohesive and like all over the place, but I don't know, that just kept me intrigued. And I say that as someone who is super burnt out on endless giant open world games, because of a lot of the stuff in this game doesn't feel super checkboxy. Like it doesn't feel just like busy work for the sake of it, even though it's so big. It kept me going. And again, like, with some of the Ubisoft games and some open world games, like now games for me, they have to really be thoughtful about how they keep you playing for so damn long in these big worlds. And I think Crimson Desert does a pretty good job. I wish it was better with the questing stuff though. There are some interesting bits here and there, but like I just wish there were like, really engaging side quests with like good characters and stuff like that. I haven't experienced too much of that. There's some decent voice acting all around, but the writing doesn't really do it. And it's got a lot of flaws. It's got a lot of weird shit. It's got some shortcomings, some stuff I wish it had, but I'm having a blast with it. But again, from the difficulty spikes to the finicky controls to the really bad tutorial, like it's not going to be a game for everybody. But I'm really curious to see like what Pearl Abyss can do with this and what the community can do with this. Is Pearl Abyss going to continue to patch and add and update stuff, add new content, add DLC, do wholesale expansions, or just immediately double down on a sequel? Take the mechanics you built here, take the world and then do it again, but with maybe a more compelling story, even tighter gameplay, less bugs. I don't know. Does this game, like, I mean, just looking at the reactions online, does this game have enough of a big impact, a splash damage impact to, affect and inspire other game creators and how they make their games? Again, it is a massive game. You can spend like hundreds of hours here, so only scratching the surface. And on Game Ranks, we're going to do console footage. We're going to have that covered, but I'm going to go back to playing it. So thank you for listening here. Again, I know I keep saying it, Resident Evil spoiler talk video coming soon. Thank you for bearing with me, but let me know what you think about Crimson Desert. At the time of this video publishing, game's out pretty soon, so let me know your first reactions. I might be totally off base. I think some people are going to see my tweet where I said I hated the first 8 hours, and they're going to come back at me and say, you're a game journalist shill, you suck at video game, like, whatever. So I want to know where you feel with that. Did the game immediately hook you? Did it take time? Are you even interested in this game? Have you heard reviews with enough caveats to it that have turned you off? Is it not your type of game? Let's talk about Crimson Desert. There's definitely a lot to talk about with this one. So let me know what you think. Thank you for listening to me yap for this long about a game. That's what I try and do here. I just talk about stuff I like, stuff I find interesting. Clicking the like button helps me, and subscribing and hitting that notification bell and like hitting it to all. It's very cool if you do that, because like I don't spam videos. I don't put out videos like constantly. So then you can just be notified when I do. But thank you for listening for this long. I'm Jake Baldino. Subscribe because of video games. Pizza's on me. See ya.